And our guest today is Mr. George Morrison from the Youth Services Department at the Delaware County District Library, Main Library. Good morning, George.
Good morrow.
I love the fact that you are all prepared to be musical today. I've never seen... Well, I'm not going to say because you may want to surprise people with the sound, so I won't get into what you're wearing today.
You betcha.
I would say, who are you wearing? But it's obviously it's not.
It's a Mr.
Gucci
George original,
right?
It
Yes,
is.
and it's this is Oscar weekend, so asking somebody who they're wearing is appropriate.
That is appropriate.
I'm wearing Mr. Lanzan, I think, this morning.
I'm brought to you by Hanes.
Very nice.
Sehr chic, yes.
So, you seem to have a CD that you've been listening to?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, this book has been talked about on our show before, but the only reason that I wanted to talk about it today is because it's Daisy Jones and the Six. It's written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think we've maybe had even two people mention this book on our show before, but I'm not sure if they gave it a longer talk at all. Everyone says you have to listen to this book if you get it because it's a full cast audio recording.
Okay.
I knew nothing about this book going into it. Everybody just said, it's a rock band in the 60s, 70s, and full cast recording, and you're going to love it. And that's all I knew going into it. So it's the story of Daisy. She is coming of age in LA in the late 60s. She's got this gorgeous French model for a mother, this father who is just making loads of money. So she's living in this mansion, but neither of them are really paying attention to her. So she just kind of goes off and does her own thing and doesn't care about it. Then you cut to this other band that is on their way up, and they have named themselves The Six because they all kind of came together and themselves, and there were six of them, so they're the Six.
Logical.
Exactly.
Flawlessly logical.
So they're both kind of got their different stories going on, and then they meet up in LA. She's on the singing scene on the Sunset Strip. They're doing a gig there, and their managers are kind of like, these two need to connect. These two need to get together. And so that's how Daisy Jones and the Six are formed. But I'm going to say something that's going to be unpopular opinion. I don't like it. It's
Ka-ching.
unpopular opinion. I don't enjoy it. And the primary reason why is because I was really confused when I started listening to it. It is written like, and nobody said this to me, it is written and so, it starts out with this note from the author, and the note from the author is, this is the story of Daisy Jones and the Six, and many of these interviews are taken from individuals and archives and things like that, and this is the first time in 30 years or 50 years that any of the artists have ever talked about this. And then it goes in, and then so there's Daisy telling her perspective, and then it cuts to Camille telling her perspective and Billy telling his perspective is on the full cast audio recording. But I was super confused because I kept picking up the book, the cover again, and it says, everyone knows Daisy Jones and the Six. The band's album Aurora came to define rock and roll. And I was like, what are they talking about? So finally I had to, was this a real band? Is this nonfiction? I'm looking, is this nonfiction or fiction? What's happening here? And so finally I figure out that it is a fictional story of a fictional band that never existed, but there are historical context references. They talk about Bowie. They talk about other people who are also coming of age in that same time. But the way that the audio book is listened to is like a documentary. So it's a nonfiction, but historical fiction. So not nonfiction, sorry. A historical fiction mockumentary. And I was just like, no, because I would rather read a story that's real or listen to a story that's real or get a truly 100% fictionalized telling from a third point of view perspective.
Right.
So yeah, that's my kind of unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna throw it out there and say that I want somebody else to challenge me and tell me why they love it.
It's like VH1's Behind the Music in the 90s. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's but it's not real.
But it's not real, and that's what's driving me insane. Yeah.
Sure, to each their own, but not for me.
But not for me, exactly. So I listen. I've listened to half of it, and I feel like I can make an educated, decision on this. But it's Daisy Jones and the Six. It's by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The audiocast recording is great. The people who are reading it are phenomenal, and it's very well produced. But yeah, not for me.
Do they play the music?
No.
Oh, wow. that makes sense. Wow.
No.
That would make
it's
it
like an Abraham Lincoln bio without any speeches or
right.
quotes.
Sure. Yeah, exactly, George. Wow. Okay. Oh. All right. Yeah. Thank you. I don't think I'm going to bother to delve into this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's
George, is what you have in front of you better?
I am reading this wonderful book that just came out last November. We've got copies. It's called All Blood Runs Red. Ooh. It's the legendary life of Eugene Bullard, boxer, pilot, soldier, spy.
Wow.
This was the tale starting as a young man, Eugene. He was a first-generation post-slavery African-American, and his family did their best with, I think he had 9 siblings, and he wanted to get out of the South. And he had it in his mind that France was the answer.
Wow.
Isn't this beautiful?
It's all in Paris.
It's all in Paris. Mm-hmm. And again, this is around 1900. And there's something big coming up in the early 1900s. As he travels throughout the world, he ends up in Great Britain, becomes this boxer, and then he finally ends up in France right about, 1912-ish, and something starts to happen in Europe around that time, and he becomes a pilot.
Wow.
For the French escadrille, the French for France, he becomes the first African American pilot shot down.
Wow.
But then he got back up and flew again. But later on, he opened a bar in France. Later on, during World War II, he kind of was a spy. His story is outstanding. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm about a quarter way through, and I'm just a page turner. It is just like I just love it. Right. So but for something that connectivity between in America and internationally, and also just things that he was the first to do, it's a wonderful story that not many people know about.
Yeah. That's great. All Blood Runs Red by, who's the author?
Phil Keith and Tom Clavin.
Great. Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I just finished, literally just finished, because I finished it last night about 10:30, a book called Solid State, The Story of Abbey Road and the End of the Beatles. Now, this is nonfiction. And and it's very easy to find the music and listen to it as they're talking about it. This is written by Kenneth Womack, who is a professor of English at Monmouth University in New Jersey. But even though he's a professor of English, he writes really well.
Despite his professorship,
yes. He's written a number of books on the Beatles, including Long and Winding Roads and the Beatles Encyclopedia. He also did a 2-volume biography of George Martin, who was their producer, engineer, arranger for many years, called Maximum Volume is Volume 1 and Sound Pictures is Volume 2. This book focuses, as it says in the subtitle, on the Beatles' last album, Abbey Road. Abbey Road was the last one they recorded. Let It Be, which was the soundtrack to the documentary, actually came out later, but it was recorded before they did Abbey Road. And in fact, there was some question whether they would ever actually get around to doing this album, because at the point where they recorded this, the Beatles were in the process of disintegrating. There were personal issues. I'm not going to get into all the Yoko and Linda and all that sort of stuff,
right.
But they were having, they'd gone off in different directions creatively. Lennon was looking at one kind of music. McCartney was looking at a different kind. They hadn't actually written together in several years, although they were still releasing everything as Lennon and McCartney compositions. All 4 of the Beatles were involved with other artists producing their albums and trying to bring them into Apple Corps, which was and they were having terrible financial trouble, which you wouldn't think of with the Beatles. You'd think they were so rich. That,
worldwide superstars.
Worldwide superstars who'd been screwed out of the royalties on their own music by a stupid contract that their original manager, Brian Epstein, entered into, which left them with very little control over their own music. And in fact, they lost control of the music in 1969. The music was sold right out from under them.
Wow.
So they got money out of it, but nothing like what they should have gotten over the next 40 years is dozens and hundreds of other artists recorded their songs. So all of that was in play. Paul McCartney wanted one new manager. The other three Beatles had somebody else that they wanted to be their manager, and they never settled on that together. And yet they came together during the spring and summer of 1969 and created one of their best albums. The title is Solid State because EMI, which produced most of their albums in the UK, was an incredibly cheap company and wouldn't invest in new equipment. So they were still recording on old 4-track tape recorders when everybody else had gone to 8-track where they could do a lot of work. Finally, when they were sitting down to get Abbey Road started, EMI finally bought an up-to-date machine, which was solid state technology and vacuum tubes and gauges and hoses and everything. So I just want to read, because this is, like I said, this is really well written, and this is towards the end of the book. Womack writes, with Abbey Road, as George Martin and Jeff Emmerich deployed solid-state technology in tandem with the group's virtuosic musical talents, the Beatles succeeded in ending their career in fine style, not only for themselves, but for legions of listeners. In this way, Solid State exists as a metaphor for the technologies that made the album possible and all the finality that the album represents. In the decades since its release, Abbey Road has continued to echo throughout pop culture, its place secure in rock history. In many ways, the album has come to define the trajectory of the group's career, a unique fusion that the band's enduring, multi-generational popularity. For the Beatles, Abbey Road was the foundation of a solid state.
Aww.
So, you could look at this as being kind of like the story of the end of the Beatles, but it also talks about how when they did come together to focus on the music, they couldn't be beat.
Sorry, I saw what you did there, George.
Everything else aside, they would set everything else aside, and sometimes they'd be recording like the 30-second take on something, and all of a sudden they would break into a Buddy Holly medley just for fun. They would on one song, The End. They Harrison, Lennon, and McCartney each take a guitar lead, which they never all did in a song. It was they were still the creative juices were still flowing. And side 2 of Abbey Road, which is that long song cycle that they'd never tried anything like that before. And it comes together as they're putting in bits and pieces of other songs that they knew couldn't be like a 3-minute song, but made a beautiful 1.5 minutes, like She Came In Through the Bathroom Window and Her Majesty. All of those come together. As he talks about the creativity that was flowing in the studio, you can just feel it. So I kept going back and listening to Abbey Road as I was reading the book to hear what he was talking about.
Right.
So it's so well written. I really recommend it. If you're a Beatles fan, if you're interested at all in the technology of music making, I can't recommend this book enough. It's available through CLC. My copy actually belongs to the Columbus Metro Library, but it's also available on Hoopla, so it's available for immediate download.
Oh, great.
And it's, again, Solid State, The Story of Abbey Road and the End of the Beatles by Kenneth Womack. When we come back, we will also hear some original music and hear about the upcoming tribute to Mr. Rogers that George Morrison is going to be leading. So stay tuned.
The Delaware County Veterans Service has an unwavering commitment to you, and they see over 10,000 vets each year. They can help you with emergency financial assistance, VA application assistance, and VA healthcare enrollment. To find out more, stop by the Delaware County Veterans Service office. For your convenience, there's a computer you are welcome to use when you visit. Call the Delaware County Veterans Services today. 740-833-2010. That's 740-833-2010.
Warning: if you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For a free estimate on how much money we could save you, call 1-800-964-5786. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For your free 5-minute savings estimate, call now, 1-800-964-5786. That's 1-800-964-5786. 1-800-964-5786.
If you love the Delaware County District Library, join the Friends of the Library. All of the money raised helps your library. The base membership is only $15, and with that, you'll receive discounts at book sales, the Kentucky Derby Party, and much more. Think of all the great things the library does for you. Now here's an easy way to do something for your library in return. For more information or to join, go to DelawareLibraryFriends.org. That's DelawareLibraryFriends.org.
Join parents and experts at Understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
Broadcasting from the Streetwise Motors Studios. In the market for a good quality pre-loved car? Get to 250 North Main Street in Marion or 24/7 online at streetwisemotors.com.
26 degrees, winter weather advisory till 1 p.m. You're listening to Off the Shelf on 92.9 WDLR.
Welcome back to Off the Shelf. I'm here with Nicole Fowles and with George Morrison. Before we talk to George, a big shout out to the Friends of the Library who had a bodacious book sale last Saturday at February 1st. They sold something in the neighborhood of $1,200 worth of books in 4 hours.
In like a 4-hour span.
And they got like 16 new members. It was just a huge success. So thank you to all who came by and shopped. Thank you for those who joined. And thank you to the Friends for your ongoing support of the library.
Yes.
So, George, I'm just going to say, talk to us about what you'd like to talk to us about. But don't forget to talk about the Mr. Rogers program, since that's coming this week.
Just to remind you, it's wonderful to talk about your feelings. Well, I got a special program coming up Wednesday, February 12th at 6:30. It's called Mr. George's Neighborhood. This is a salute to Mr. Rogers. And folks, I've wanted to do this for a while. I've been doing it the last few years because folks will say, hey, you're like Mr. Rogers and Jack Black had a baby. You should totally do a Mr. Rogers program. And I do love sharing positivity and the positivity around emotions and sharing your emotion and socio-emotional development is really important to me. So I thought this is a great time to do that with the popularity of the movies, the films, all the documentaries, and of course the books, which are abound. They're just everywhere. But yeah, I can't wait to see you there. It'll be nostalgic for wiser, older adults and also some of the youngsters who love Daniel Tiger, who his show is, of course, very popular. Right. So it'll be a multi-generational happy family program. So I hope to see some adults, even without kids there, just to wax nostalgia and have some fun.
That's I was just a little too old for Mr. Rogers when he first came on TV. Just like I missed Sesame Street by like 5 years. So but as an adult, I really appreciate what he was doing. And as a grandparent, seeing how it works, it's just amazing how he was able to reach kids in a way that you don't see it in other kinds of television.
Absolutely.
Especially not in commercial television.
And I am full of unpopular opinions this
morning.
You
don't like Mr. Rogers?
I didn't. I didn't as a kid.
Okay.
He was of my generation, and we didn't watch a lot of PBS at all, really, as a kid. And I've read books.
That explains why you don't like things with English accents.
I've read a lot of books recently about his legacy, and I definitely appreciate it. But one of the things that they always talked about was, where Sesame Street was fast and in your face, Mr. Rogers was slow and took time to really kind of center yourself. And I didn't watch either. I watched Nickelodeon. But my daughter watches Daniel Tiger, and I love Daniel Tiger. It just has taken it to just a new, it's a little bit faster, but it still has the emotional, repertoire that Mr. Rogers did. Yeah, I'm full of unpopular opinions.
And amazing phrases. That was fun, but now it's done. Trademark, copyright, everything. But yeah, and that's I kind of took that, and I decided to write my own original tune in the light of Mr. Rogers because of those wonderful phrases that Daniel Tiger does, and kind of they're great mnemonic devices for us, even as adults, to kind of remember to stop, look and listen and think about what you're doing. And this is a new tune, and I will need your help, Nicole and George. I will need your help today, but I'll let you know. Just like you're my storytellers today, I'll need your help, and I'll let you know.
Okay.
A world debut.
This is a world debut.
From
It's
George
called
Morrison.
When in Doubt. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. When your troubles are a quandary, whites and colors in your laundry. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. Now, George and Nicole, I need your help. When I point to you, my good little storytellers, like this, like this, this, I'm whistling because you can't see me point to them. Right. No, when I point to you, I need you to put your hands in the air like you just don't care. Give me a big clap. All right, ready, storytellers? Here we go. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. Oh, yeah. When your car goes rat-tat-tat, we'll look into a fix for that. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. When you're pondering pi 3.14, oh my. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. When you're filing your taxes, need deductions to the max. The library cannot do your taxes for you, but we have wonderful resources and books and other experts to refer you. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. When you can't find a book, well, you know what? We can help you with a look. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. When you can't remember that book, oh, you know that it is blue. Well, we'll see what we can do. When in doubt, ask about. When in doubt, ask about. World premiere. I just wrote that yesterday. And Nicole said, be on the radio. I'm like, ah!
It was kismet.
We will make this happen.
It was fate.
But yeah, those little mnemonic devices, I actually say that to children when I visit them in schools. I always say, when in doubt, ask about. And that's such a wonderful thing for we adults to do too. Like, do I actually know what I'm talking about? It's okay to pause. And Mr. Rogers was definitely an influence for that song.
Yeah, and he was somebody who knew how to pause.
Yes.
You actually have a children's book in front of you called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I do. And I love this book. It is available in the library. It's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, the poetry of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Of course, it's songs by Fred Rogers, and it's got some wonderful illustrations. But, do we have time? I'd love to share a piece.
Yeah.
All right. I'd love to. You know what? This one is really tried and true, especially in our times. It's called Good People Sometimes Do Bad Things. Good people sometimes do think bad things. Good people dream bad things, don't you? Good people even say bad things. Once in a while, we do. Good people sometimes wish bad things. Good people try bad things, don't you? Good people even do bad things. Once in a while, we do. Has anybody said you're good lately? Has anybody said you're nice? And have you ever wondered how they could lately? Wondered once or twice. Did you forget that good people sometimes feel bad things? Good people want bad things. They do. Good people even do bad things. Once in a while, good people sometimes do. Now, when we think about that, even we adults, we have tough times or we make bad decisions, like children as well. As we think about these times with Mr. Rogers being so popular, it's a wonderful time for we adults to pause and think about, you know what? I've gone through what they've gone through, and they're going to go through what I'm going through right now. So it's good that we talk about those things. So check out that book. That's just one piece from it, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
And all of the poetry, I was shocked, is written by Mr. Rogers in that book. I also recently learned that pretty much all of the songs that were part of the Mr. Rogers show, the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood show, were written by Mr. Rogers, written by Fred Rogers.
Yeah, Fred's music focus was outstanding.
Yeah, and a crazy tie-in, if I can have a shameless plug, is my Delaware Community Chorus. We're preparing for our spring concert, Sunday, May 3rd, and at 3 p.m. in the Powell United Methodist Church. And we're actually singing a repertoire of Mr. Rogers songs. We've got like 4 in a medley of Mr. Rogers songs. We've got, the standard, like, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But then there's several others that we're adding in there as well. I was like, I didn't know he wrote more than that. Wow. I didn't know he wrote any of them. So amazing. He's a pretty magical man.
That's outstanding.
I tell you what, we got a couple of minutes to talk about a couple other things that are going on in the library.
Wonderful.
And then you can take us out with a song.
That sounds like fun.
All right. This, again, Mr. George's Neighborhood is Wednesday, February 12th, 6:30 at the Delaware Main Library. That's great. So make sure you get that on your calendar. What else do you want to make sure we mention today?
George is leading at the end of this month an all-ages Lego free build. It'll be Sunday, February 23rd, so you can save the date for it now. 12 to 5, that is a Sunday, so just pop in anytime. Yeah. And we were talking about this yesterday. We really think it's a great thing if you've gotten into the new Lego Masters show.
Oh my gravy, the Lego Fox. Masters TV, the TV show is so much fun. But what's so great about this, Lego is really focusing on adults right now. It is a wonderful pastime and hobby for relaxation, Lego building. So if you've got kids or if you don't have kids, come on down. It's open from 12 to 5 that day. Check it out, and you can just build and relax. It's a wonderful program, very, very calm and relaxing, and you can do what you want.
I just want to mention one other program that's going to happen a week from today. I Heart Harry Potter.
Oh, yes.
That's 12 to 4 at the Powell Branch Library. Come celebrate all things Harry Potter. This is a drop-in program. You can make magic wands. You can make love potions. You can do the sorting ceremony, costume contest, lots of fun things on Valentine's Day. So if you love Harry Potter, it's a great way to show your love.
Yeah, really, all of these programs are all ages. Come with or without kids.
With or without costumes.
With or without costumes, you'll have fun.
Right. So I am going to thank Gage for engineering our show today. Good to see you. Nicole, thank you. And George, would you take us out with a song, please?
Oh, absolutely. I love children's music, but I do love relating it to adults as well, reminding us that, we have fun with this music. And sometimes I like to modernize it. Now, there's always a wonderful classic with wonderful history. There's so many tunes that I like to change things. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bonnie to me. Now, we know this tune. It's actually mostly in history. It's been attributed to Bonnie Prince Charlie in Scotland as he was kicked out of Scotland and kicked over to France. But you know what? We adults need a little modernization sometimes. And I'm a big fan of David Bowie. And unfortunately, he has been passed on to the great beyond. Ooh, pretty freaky man. My Bowie lies over the ocean. My Bowie lies over the sea. My Bowie lies over the ocean. So bring back my Bowie to me. Bring back, bring back my Bowie to me, to me. Bring back, bring back my Bowie to me. Thank you, man. Pretty great, everybody. You have a wonderful day in the library. Make sure to check out my wonderful books about David Bowie.
Okay, Lee and Darren, match that one. Thank you so much, George Morrison, for the music and for everything you do for the kids of Delaware County. Thank you. And we will see you in the stacks.
You've been listening to Off the Shelf, brought to you by the Friends of the Delaware County District Library. Love the library? Join the Friends. Join us next evening at the Delaware County District Library.
ABC News, I'm Lionel Moise. The coronavirus continues to spread with more than 31,000 cases in China alone. 11 Americans on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan have been diagnosed. Officials say there are 61 cases total. President Trump tweeting Friday morning that he had a call with China's president on the issue.
A new report shows that the median age of coronavirus patients appears...
Set his alarm early. He is, 3 hours away in Seattle, probably. Washington. no doubt causing mayhem there. Yeah, we couldn't. That's as far away as we could get him to go. So
couldn't get him to go any
yeah,
farther.
His passport wasn't updated, so we got him as far as the water's edge.
Passport wasn't updated.
And so no, Darren is off today, but he'll be back next week, tan, rested, and ready. And but we got a great show. Barb, you having problems over there?
It's okay now.
You good?
There we go.
You good? You listening?
I wasn't getting it through my ears.
This is Darren's replacement. No, we are going to in a minute. We're going to talk about the Great Decisions discussion series that is a Delaware tradition, 40 years this year, and we're looking forward to hearing from two of the representatives from Great Decisions. Of course, Barb Tall and Skip Cornett are here in the studio. We're going to talk about Great Decisions. What are the topics this year, and just why it's a fun event. It's a as I said, a tradition and a great way to bring the world to Delaware and to learn a little bit at the same time. So we're going to get to that. All things. Gage, how was your week?
It was pretty long, but then it went by really fast. Like once you got to Wednesday, it was just Friday like that with a snap of a finger.
There you go, man. That's good. That's good.
I just can't wait for summer. That's telling you that.
Well, we as of today, we're going to need to wait a little bit longer, and I don't know, maybe the groundhog lied on Saturday. But anyway, we woke up to snow this morning, and the guys were out salting and continue to do that. So if you're traveling in the city of Delaware today, watch out for those salt trucks. Give
and
them room.
Enjoy the beauty of the snow.
That's right. That's right.
Who cares what the groundhog says?
Barb's picked right up on Darren's role of
she knows the role
of cutting me off in mid-sentence. No, I love you, Barb. No, I love you. No. So, anyway, watch out for that. So, we're going to get to Great Decisions. But before we do that, Gage.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin.
Get a little headline news.
The news wouldn't be the news without the news.
But let me tell you, I got some news for you.
Americans heard the news and went wild.
That was great. Interrupts you in the middle of a sentence.
He always does that.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, don't cut me off.
She's got a free pass, though.
She does. Oh, we love Barb. So, it's news today. City Council, your Delaware City Council meets Monday night. It's actually two action-packed meetings in one. We have our annual joint meeting with the Delaware City Schools Board, as well as City Council. So if you're really out there geeking out for more and more local government and meeting with your elected leaders, there's two chances on Monday. We'll meet from 6 to 7 p.m. That's a new starting time for our council meeting. 6 to 7 p.m. at City Hall in council chambers. And then at 7 p.m., council will adjourn and walk to the Willis Building on William Street to meet with the Delaware City Schools for their meeting, which will begin at 7. So two meetings in one on Monday night. 6 o'clock for City Council, 7 o'clock for the joint meeting. And we do, in all seriousness, look forward every year to a meeting with the city schools. It's a great partnership. And as I tweeted this week about an event that our engineering department took part in at Congress School, great partners make great communities, and we sure have it with the Delaware City Schools. So anyway, Monday night, 6 and 7 p.m., and all that information is at DelawareOhio.net. East William Street construction continues. If you're on East William, you'll notice that the crews are out there even today working, so be cautious of that and just take a little bit of extra time if you're traveling on East William Street. There is a street closure planned for Saturday. You've probably seen the signs up. Sandusky Street will be closed between Central and Lincoln. This is North Sandusky, between Central and Lincoln, to allow work to take place on the roof of the new county building there. On the east side of Sandusky Street, they're replacing some kind of HVAC, or they're doing some maintenance up on the roof, and they'll need to erect a large crane on Sandusky Street. So Sandusky will be closed from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. So watch out for that, or you probably are going to need to avoid that. Detour routes, all the locals know how to get around that, right, Barb?
Absolutely.
You do. That's right.
North Franklin Street.
There you go. That's right.
She's got it.
Or Union.
Atta girl. That's right. That's right. All right.
This is all new to me, so I'm glad to hear all of this.
That's good.
I've only lived here for a year and a half in Delaware.
Trust your most respective anchorman.
Well, this is as we always say in the show, Skip. if you listen, if you're not careful, you might learn something. I mean, try as hard as we can not to. Every now and then, there's a pearl of information that trickles out or rolls out somewhere. So anyway,
this is every Friday, right?
Oh yes, that's right. Well, knock on wood, we'll be back next week. So.
Well, I'm going to start listening now. I mean, I've learned so much.
Good.
There you go.
Good.
There you go.
Well, we're going to learn a lot here in the next few minutes. As I said, our guests on the digest are Skip and Barb from the Great Decisions discussion series. And before we get into this year's 40th anniversary series, Barb, could you what is the Great Decisions series? Give us a little bit of history.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked. It's part of a national program with good golly.
Oh, you are just like Darren.
The Foreign Policy Association.
You do as much show prep as he does,
which
Barb.
has been around for a long time. Yeah, and it's really a way of helping people in Delaware become aware of how much we are a part of the world and what our responsibility is and what it will be, our opportunities.
And that's a great word there, Barb. Opportunity. This is the Great Decisions discussion series. Right. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8-week series every Friday at noon at William Street United Methodist Church in the basement.
That's right.
Of William Street United Methodist. Starts at noon. It's free. And you can bring a brown bag.
Bring a brown bag. It's over lunch, and so many people do just come right from business for this 1 hour, and you can have a brown bag, or you can wait and have one later. One of the interesting opportunities for people is that the speakers often then are taken for lunch, and members of the congregation can go too with a continuing conversation.
The discussion goes on.
Discussion goes on. Yeah.
So what gets you? Why are you involved in this? What's kept you involved, Barb?
Well, I'm a citizen of the world as much as I'm a citizen of the U.S. and been much concerned and involved with international relations through my children, having 5 children that all have been involved internationally. And certainly believe that we have our responsibility to be international as well as national citizens, and we need to be informed ones.
And it's a great opportunity, as you said, Barb, to kind of bring the world to Delaware and to make sure that we're aware of our presence in the world and our impact. And we have those opportunities here with a great partnership, a wonderful university in Ohio Wesleyan, a great school system, our local schools, both Delaware City and Olentangy, that serve our city. And there's just so many opportunities to take advantage of learning. And you really never stop learning. So it's the Great Decisions discussion series. 2020. Again, our guests on the show today, Barb Tall, Skip Cornett, with the board that oversees the Great Decisions. We'll be back with Skip and Barb and Gage after these messages.
Hey there, it's Bob Allen. If you got a song you've been craving for lunch, have I got an idea for you? Drop by the Classic Hits Cafe every day from noon to 1 and request it. Phone it in to 740-368-1550. Email me at boballen@wdlrradio.com or hit us up on our Facebook page at Ohio's Best Classic Hit by the Solar Saloon in downtown Delaware on Ohio's Best Classic Hits, 92.9 WDLR. Order up. Whether it's a company party, watching the big game, or a night out with friends, the Firehouse Tavern is the place to go. Drink specials, lunch and dinner specials, and if you want to have everybody get together at your place, the Firehouse Tavern can cater it for you. Order online with DoorDash and have it delivered free right to your door with a $15 minimum order. The Firehouse Tavern on the Square in Sunbury. Open 7 days a week at 11 a.m. Online at joesfirehousetavern.com. And don't forget their new Bloody Mary and Mimosa Bar every Sunday starting at 11 a.m.
Living in Denial, Ohio, it's really nice.
Because when we hear about the opioid crisis, we know it's not going to happen here.
It just feels safe and secure being in denial.
There's like a peace of mind.
Opioids? It doesn't happen here.
No.
My daughter is good friends.
My boys would tell me anything.
Exactly.
No, our kids are way too busy.
They would never abuse opioids.
Welcome to denial.
Don't live in denial, Ohio. Talk to your kids about drugs and they'll be up to 50% less likely to use them. Find out more at don'tliveindenial.org. A message from the Ohio Opioid Education Alliance.
Battery power made by Steel. From trimmers and mowers to chainsaws and blowers, Steel battery tools are exactly what you need to tackle your to-do list. Whether you need to maintain your yard or completely transform your landscape. Battery power made by Steel. Steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot, always at a local Steel dealer. Real Steel. Find yours at steeldealers.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
Looking to pamper that special someone this Valentine's? Or just want to look your best for that special evening? The Hair Studio and Day Spa on North Sandusky Street in downtown Delaware has you covered. Make your appointment now for that special cut and style, or stop in for a gift certificate for one of our many relaxing and revitalizing spa services. We cater to men as well as women. Our signature salon service and Paul Mitchell products will give you the look you want when you want it. Check us out online at thehairstudioandspa.com. That's thehairstudioandspa.com.
From the WDLR Weatherbug Forecast Center, we have a winter weather advisory until 1 p.m. For this morning, clouds and snow could leave a coating in some areas, then a couple of flurries this afternoon, the high temperature 32. Mostly cloudy tonight, low 20. Saturday is going to be mostly cloudy, high 34. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi on the new 92.9 FM, Ohio's best classic hits.
26 degrees, winter weather advisory till 1 p.m. Be careful out there. You're listening to Delaware City Digest on 92.9 WDLR.
It is the Digest. I'm Lee Yoakum. Our guest today with the Great Decisions discussion series, the 40th year of Great Decisions in Delaware. And with us is Barb Tall and Skip Cornett, both on the board that oversees and coordinates this great learning opportunity each year at this time of year, an 8-week series each Friday at noon. The events take place in the basement of the William Street United Methodist Church. It's free to attend. Bring a brown bag, and I think they have coffee and tea and things like that. But it's a great opportunity to take your lunch and learn. And learn about topics that maybe seem far off, but as we all know in our kind of global world and global economy, they all have an impact on us. And Skip, before we came on the air, you were talking about your background. You've had your passport stamped a couple of times, it sounded like. You worked in overseas in the Middle East?
Well, I go to the Middle East. I go to Israel, Palestine. I've been there 3 times now. And my wife.
So if you're there, would you just see if you can get those two guys? Just grab them and say, "Let's go have a beer someplace, maybe." And
that's exactly what I've been doing. Yeah, since 2007 or so. So yeah, I have a specialty in Israel, Palestine, the Middle East. But my bigger specialty is an interest in foreign policy, and that's why we moved here a year and a half ago. And somebody said, "You ought to be on this committee." So I joined, and I've just been privileged to be here. And here's the reason why. As Barb was saying, it's the Foreign Policy Association. If you look on their webpage, people are doing this all over the country. But I think, he said 40 years, I didn't realize that either. But this is one of the best programs around, specifically the one in Delaware, because of just the range of resources around here. It's not discussion. Some places have discussion groups. This place has, the one in Delaware, the one at the Methodist Church, has presenters from Ohio Wesleyan, Ohio State, Denison, because we've got just a plethora, range of, really rich resources around here. And I guess you all have taken advantage of it for years and years.
Local experts on international topics.
Yeah.
And that's really refreshing to have people who have those experiences and can make the international experience real and bring us right into it.
Mm-hmm. You took the words out of my mouth, Barb, because as I was going through this year's itinerary, it seems like maybe more than any other year, it really features some of our own residents and experts, which is again, that connection. It really connects us to the world when you're hearing from Aaron Nicely, who serves on one of our city historic planning commission boards, or former County Prosecutor Carol O'Brien is there now with the Attorney General's office. There's Sean Kay from Ohio Wesleyan. So it's kind of a who's who of, and as well as Blake Michael, who we all know from Ohio Wesleyan. But that's kind of neat to put that local face on world issues, and you do such a good job of that. How do you guys decide on the topics? Is that your choice, or how does that work?
The topics are not our choice. That's the the national committee selects the topics. And so we get the topics, and then as a board, we come together and we consider our local resources and who we have to fulfill it. And as you say, we have a lot locally, but interesting, there's like Irfan Nuruddin was a student at Ohio Wesleyan, and now he is off doing some great things elsewhere, but when the local calls him to come back, he always comes back and serves the local community as well. So people who come and go and make us feel like we are not just an island on our own, but we're a part of the whole.
We're talking Great Decisions discussion series. I think I used to call it a lecture series, and now it's more of a discussion. It's not someone talking to you and you listening. It's a discussion. It's everybody gets a chance to contribute, which is kind of a nice approach.
It's both, Lee.
Yeah.
We start with the experts give us a half an hour of on the topic, and the National has a booklet that we have a perspective article on each topic written by a national or an international expert. So then locally we have the speech, and then we have a half an hour of active interaction, because people in Delaware are pretty well informed.
Right.
And they've got questions.
Well, I think what helps that again is one, having local experts lead the discussion. But the other thing I noticed with this is it's always so topical. You are literally ripping from the headlines today for a discussion, and I know this was planned out, but it's they do a great job of identifying those very pertinent issues that are literally in today's newspaper that we can talk about here in Delaware. Again, it's the Great Decisions discussion series, the 40th anniversary. It takes place each Friday starting February 14th with the first session till April 3rd, every Friday at noon in the basement of the William Street United Methodist Church. Again, it's free to attend. If you would like to bring your lunch, do so. They'll have drinks and things like that. But it's a great hour of power about world issues. And Skip, you were talking about just your involvement and wanting to be involved. You were struck by the 40th anniversary, that it's been around that long here in Delaware.
It's kind of amazing. In fact, I'm Lutheran clergy, and I worked at St. Mark's for about 15 months back 2011 or so, and they were telling me, there's this foreign policy program down the road at the Methodist Church. There's so many resources there in this little pocket called the William Street United Methodist Church, and the events that happened there on Friday, and drawing on all the expertise around the community. So it's really an opportunity. But yeah, the book.
In your hand, I was going to say in here for those watching us on Facebook, everybody wave.
There it is. Here it is. And they really give a great overview of each one of the topics. And I just wanted to highlight one, for example, Red Sea security, which is going to be Blake Michael from Ohio Wesleyan who's going to do that. And I looked at that and I said, well, that's pretty esoteric. What's that all about? Well, guess what it's about? It's about Egypt, Jordan, Eritrea, because that's all in the Red Sea.
Correct.
So what do we know about it? Well, we sort of know it's there. This is an opportunity to learn about it.
We know we know that we like to have Red Sea security because the bit of energy that we do get from out of the Strait of Hormuz is fairly important. Again, very topical with with what's going on with Iran.
Yeah.
One of the things too I've noticed is that, and I don't know if it's by design or by order, but usually the participants check their politics at the door. to kind of for that more of that free flow of information, and I think you guys try to go out of your way not to take a particular side, but to make sure that all sides are heard.
Right.
Absolutely. That's the idea of intellectual exploration of the topic, that we are not dealing with world opinion, and we're trying to get as much information as possible. In the booklet, a national expert has outlined his or her perspective on the topic. And so we have that to begin with, and that gives a lot of history. And because every local event has a history to it, and we need
a particular side, well, there's an opportunity for you to voice your opinion, and I think that's you support that and foster that and nurture that.
Oh, absolutely. At the end of each session, there's a written opinion questionnaire that they hand in, and these are collected all across the United States and then sent to our representatives, administrative and elected representatives in Washington, D.C. So it really has an impact. In other words, one responsibility to express an educated opinion.
Also, what struck me about my first round with the program was last year, is the quality of the audience that comes to the event and the questions that they ask. They're already pretty well informed, and they know how to ask good questions without becoming hyper or political or anything like that. They're looking for information.
Right, exactly. And that's what it's all about. If you're information, and we all should be, this is a great opportunity. It's, again, the Great Decisions discussion series. Barb and Skip, I know that obviously William Street United Methodist Church, which is gracious enough to provide its basement for this event for those 8 Fridays. Are there other sponsors? Who else helps make this happen?
Well, of course, Ohio Wesleyan is a big pivotal one. And with the people and the resources, but also...
I knew I put you on the spot there to identify them, but...
the AAUW, the League of Women Voters, International Studies Program of Ohio Wesleyan, Willowbrook Christian Community, and Anchor and Away Travel, and other private donors are individual sponsors of the program.
Always makes it work, and I think a lot of those have been on board for a few years now. So that's a good sign that they appreciate what you're doing. Are and how current they are. So it's a great opportunity for everybody listening to learn and engage in during the Great Decisions. Again, it begins February 14th, 8 weeks here. Street United Methodist Church. Barb, Skip, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good luck on have a great series.
Thank you for having us.
All right,
we'll come back.
We'll see you there.
She's Darren 2.0.
We won't. That was Gage said that, Darren. I did not, but yeah, we maybe we'll have Darren and Lee do a discussion a 9th week in the basement of William Street United Methodist Church on the quickest way to end radio careers. But anyway, guys, thanks for coming on. Have a great series. Gage, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody next week on.
You've been listening to Delaware City Digest on WDLR. Tune in next week to find out what's going on in your city.